Fantasy Football Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all for listening today to the O'Reilly Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Sestito. Alongside me is my co-host, Kevin King. And we're joined today by Uncle Chris O'Reilly, joining us on the podcast. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great podcast. I've enjoyed all of them.
I'm glad. Now you'll get to be on one. You could share it around in Florida.
I will.
Good fantasy football.
I was supposed to go to a drum circle tonight, and I said, no, I'm on a family podcast tonight. I can't do it.
That's right. Priorities. Did you bring
it.
Did you bring any props like Joe did last week?
No, I did not bring any props.
All right. I didn't know a newspaper, you know?
Yeah, no props this week.
All right. Fair enough.
No props this week, but another, Uncle Chris's team's off to a flaming hot start here. Diving in quickly here, looking at the waiver wire. You were a busy man.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of time being retired to keep watching all these shows every day and finding out all my mistakes I made when I drafted. So I'm trying to make up for that. But I noticed one mistake you didn't make, Tim. You got a lot of wide receivers on your squad.
Calling them out right away.
I was thinking about doing a trade with you, but I said you'd want an arm and a leg. I said I'll just have to go on the waiver wire.
Yeah, we could discuss a trade offside. I'm listen. Shop's always open.
Yeah.
So
I figured I had to go heavy and get another wide receiver.
Yeah, you went heavy. Joshua Palmer.
Yeah,
Marvin Mims. I like the Mims pickup. I was thinking of adding him actually.
I'm hoping sooner or later they'll play him.
I like the Palmer pickup with Mike Williams getting injured for the year. I think there's a lot of room for.
I think there's a couple of upsides to that. Plus, the 49ers Nayok there with his shoulder. Nobody knows. He practiced Monday, didn't practice today. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that guy.
I feel like they sat him because it was the short week against the Giants on Thursday. And it was
they knew they were going to beat him, right?
Well, they were playing the Giants. Why are we going to risk it? I feel like it's one of those injuries. Like if you playoff game, he's playing. Week 3 against the Giants Thursday. They're not going to risk it with him. Looking at highlighting this Marvin Mims pickup here. Not a lot of targets there, but look at that.
No. Sean Payton's just been putting him out there for a couple of targets. He keeps saying that every week he'll feed him a little bit more, but he wants to take it easy on him. So,
well, I don't think the Broncos have much choice right now. They, after the first 70-point NFL game since the 1960s,
that was crazy,
absolutely insane. I was watching Red Zone, and then I have the Sunday ticket down here. I had to split screen to get that game on because it was just unbelievable the way they kept scoring.
You think their defense, the little they had, gave up or what?
Oh yeah. When I was watching that, those guys just stopped tackling.
Yeah, when it got to 40, there was no more tackling going on.
Yeah, and I think they were I don't think he was trying to run up the score because they just put the backups in and they just let them run all over them anywhere they wanted. So the Broncos want any hope and a prayer of being an okay team this year. And Sean Payton not getting fired after one season, they probably should be looking to use Marvin Mims. So I like this ad here. I think with the fab offers, you just beat out Night for both of them. Maybe a little bit of an overbid on Josh Palmer, but hey, you get
there was an overbid, but I wanted to make sure I got him because
you got to get your guy.
I had him 2 years ago, and he was in the doghouse out there, and he almost never played him 2 years ago.
Yeah, so I don't think he's in the doghouse. I don't think he's in the doghouse. I think he's just hurt.
He's just hurt now.
He's a very good player. I like watching him play. We go into last week's recap. I think there's one game we got to talk about here off the top of the show here, and we're talking Night versus City Dogs. What a dogfight this one was.
And you know what? I gotta hand it to Night. He came on with his little prop. He had the checklist. And he nailed it. And, Billy was actually at my apartment this afternoon. He stopped by for a quick beverage. And he was saying, there are no losers in that game. There's nobody who lost. And
He did.
that is just a loser's mentality. I'll tell you right now.
You're never going to
Joe
win the
went out.
trophy with that mindset, Bill.
Yeah,
Come on.
Joe is undefeated, and it was a close game, but it's impressive. It's an impressive win.
It was.
It was impressive win. You know, you don't often throw up 171 and lose. I mean, looking here, Hurts. I mean, Devontae Adams with a nice 42-pointer. Kansas City defense. I mean, pick up your defense when they're playing the Bears. Oh my God, what an absolute nightmare that was. He's even. I mean, if he had played Sam Laporta and his flex over Terry McLaurin, he would have won. It's pretty wild, the game that they had here. And then over on Joe, I think this is the big highlight here, though. You know, he had 184 points, but lost one of his big wide receivers.
Yeah.
That's a big hurt.
And he's got Eckler that has no timetable to return. And he's got Kupp on the IR, but he keeps winning. So, I mean, he's in the best position. He's winning without all these guys. So, I don't know. You know, it's shaping up good for him at the moment.
Yeah, he needs Kupp to come back, but you know, as a Puka Nacua, I'm kind of hoping he's, you know, his hamstring just doesn't recover here. But moving on, I think I'll go into my matchup here. My first win of the season. My penance is over. I have finally gotten Alvin Kamara coming back this week, which I think will be a big bolster to my lineup.
Yeah, you got you have a little bit of a bottleneck on your team. Scroll down a little bit, Tim. Yeah, when you have Kamara come back, I think it'll sort itself out. But I don't know, Josh Jacobs hasn't shaped up, so you really need one of them to turn it up.
I need one of them. Like Jacobs has just been kind of putting up these like 9 to 11, like not a sink your team kind of games, but he hasn't been, you know, what he was last year. T. Higgins has been Mr. Inconsistent.
Because of Joe Burrows. Joe Burrows looked horrible the other night.
Yeah, he has. My guy Puka, not as big of a week, but you know, still putting up a solid 12 points there. Happy to see it. You know, over on Craig's team, he got a nice performance by Josh Allen. He texted me on Sunday and was like, when I saw that Tua scored a touchdown in the first minute and a half of the game, he was like, I knew I was in trouble. Hard to do it when, you know, he's got 309 in a half.
Yes.
That puts you down quite a bit. You know, Mixon has been really good for him this year, though. One of those consistent players on the Bengals, the only consistent player on the Bengals, really. Since
consistent, but not enough to make you know, win a game. So the thing with Craig's team is he's got, without Waddle, and a very shallow bench.
Yeah,
so
without Waddle,
it's a tough position.
Montgomery being hurt, you know, forces, you know, it looks like that wide receiver core. You know, Atlanta's just not. You know, they just run the ball down there. They don't throw it enough. And Nico Collins, he had 2 good weeks. You know, it was, you know, he didn't have as big of a game today. Went to Tank Dell, which helped Joe out here. But I can see Craig's squad turning it down, especially with the Mike Williams injury of Quentin Johnson. That was the rookie kid they drafted, steps up. I could see him coming back in a big way. You know, coming over here, we're gonna take a peek at the old Daily News here. Stompin' James, who has now thankfully changed his team name to It's Okay DJ. I can pronounce that a lot easier than whatever his other team name was. And I don't know why he threw Jalen. I know he's a big Giants guy, but I don't know why he threw Jalen Hyatt in there.
Yeah, James shot himself in the foot.
Yeah, he shot himself. He left the
Cooper
wide receiver,
and
Carolina wide receiver. He left Cooper. He picked up Ford and then didn't start him. I couldn't understand any of that.
He plays Ford and Cooper. He wins.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a curious guy, but again, you know, sometimes we see a name change really turning around for a franchise, just like the Ravagers. So I don't know, maybe the name change will get James going.
And Uncle C, how you feeling about your team's performance this week?
Well, they got what they were supposed to get. I didn't have anyone on the bench who could have done any better, so I felt okay with what I had.
Well, somebody could have done better than this guy.
But you know, everyone played up to their potential. I did all right, except for Reynolds, who's no longer on my team,
You got
You
the
know?
axe.
dropped him like he goes out there and gets nothing, not even a throw to him. So
I think it's frustrating for you with Brees Hall as well, because he's amazing, but then they give the ball more to Dalvin Cook, or they just not using him. So hopefully he gets a breakout game, because he was so talented last year.
I
before
may
he got
not
injured.
even start him this week.
Yeah.
I'm still looking into not even because they're so bad. They're going to be behind so quick to Kansas City. They're not going to have time to run the
Yeah,
ball.
and I mean Zach Wilson's not leading them to a comeback against
No,
Kansas City. Let's
no.
be honest here. They got. I think if the Vikings, the Vikings lost to the Chargers, they're 0-3. Kirk Cousins last year of his contract, he could be. If they're 1-5, and the Jets are 2-4 or whatever it is, and they go, hey, we were all in this year. Like, here's our first round pick. It was for Rodgers. Now it's yours. Like
Yeah.
give us him right away. Cause I don't know how you with all the hype, and I get nobody expected the Rodgers injury, but with all the hype, and that team's just fracturing because Zach Wilson cannot play football at a professional level.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy how bad he is.
And
But you got
the offensive line is terrible. I mean, he sucks, but he's got no time. I don't think Rodgers would have time to get rid of the ball either.
Yeah. The Uncle Chris, the one thing with your team is I think Tyreek Hill is going to have like a
Monster
record-setting year.
Yeah,
He is looking good. I mean, I watched the highlights of that game. He is just so good.
He's having a league winner kind of year here. There to start, and I don't see them slowing down anytime soon.
Well, this week I don't expect him to go crazy against Buffalo, but we'll see. As long as he gets me his 15 or 20 points that he's supposed to get.
I think you'll be good on that front. The Bolshevik Billy, Kev here with the nice sneaky Jordan Love start there. Over benching Joe Burrow for the rookie, or I guess not a rookie, but first year starter out of Green Bay there. Really stacked your team there.
It's I don't know what is going on with Joe Burrow, but I watched some of that game. He could not get the ball to his receivers without it being sailing over their heads. 5 feet. I don't know if you guys were able to watch it. He looks terrible.
Yeah. I watched the whole game. Plus, he's not moving in the pocket. There's something wrong with his leg there.
Yeah. So
he just wasn't moving.
Struggling. So I think, for me, I will scroll up, Tim. What was the final score? I had a little bit of cushion against your dad, but I think, obviously the saving grace for my team was the Buffalo defense, because you can't really predict a defense going off like that. So I did get lucky, because if you look at my my running backs, I haven't gotten any of them over individually 10 points per game
you're
through 3 weeks. So
I mean, you got the wide receiver core and even the name tight end here to try to make a swap there, because you're going to need something at running back there.
Yeah, it's ugly.
It's not great. My dad, again, I think he just, it's hard to win when the Buffalo defense puts up 46. It's just.
Well, you should know that when the Dallas put up 45 against you, Tim.
Yeah, I know. And you put up 200. I didn't smell a prayer. My dad has one of these rosters where it's not a bad roster, but he's got so many guys that are like in that infinite sadness range, right? Of like, who the heck do I even start here? Like, 1 week they're going to be good, the other week they're going to give me 6, and I think he's got to try to navigate that.
I think the hardest part for your dad's team is he kept Justin Fields thinking that he was going to be just a great fantasy football quarterback, like not a good real quarterback, but a good fantasy football quarterback. And this year he hasn't been good at either. So it's tough when you keep him and you don't get a stable, quarterback. I might be in the same boat, because I don't know how long this guy, Jordan Love, will be able to put up 25 points.
I mean, I think Burrow will eventually turn it around. He's dealing with a calf strain. So as long as that can heal, I think, week 5, week 6, he'll put up a 320-3 game, and you'll be like, okay, that's the guy now. I'm playing him every week. And then I think one of the biggest blowout of the week here, Narco. Whew.
Narco is for real. Uncle
Narco,
Dan, the man.
Keenan
Narco
Allen
is for real.
with 18 catches, 215 yards, and a passing touchdown. Holy smokes! What a
He
week!
had 20 targets. 20
Right.
targets.
Unbelievable. I mean, his guy Kirk Cousins, he's continuing to prove everybody wrong where he took him, because that's ended up being a good pick.
That's right.
James Conner has been the depth piece for this roster here. He's been great. Like
Well, he got Chase back in Cincinnati too. Had an awesome night the other night.
Yeah, Chase had a really good night.
And you know what the crazy thing is? Look at his bench. He left another 45 points on the bench. Not that he would be putting in Mostert after the starts that the other two had, but he's got some depth. He still hasn't put Pittman in. I think we'll have to have a discussion to see if he's going to sub in Pittman over Godwin for this coming week. But he's got some depth. Even Michael Gallup is capable of putting up points. And I was watching the Dallas game, and Prescott was targeting Gallup way more than Lamb, and I have Lamb. So his team has depth.
Yeah,
it certainly does.
He's got a stacked roster here.
And on the other side of the aisle, that's a tough one.
Yeah. having Aaron Jones out, I think is really hurting him. He had like such a good week one, and he hasn't been able to bounce back yet. Christian Watson said he should be playing this week. So I think, getting him back. I mean, I think, Kyle Pitts, this guy, I don't know how I'm pro abolishing the tight end position. Pro getting rid of it, because it's just there's 4 guys you want to play, and everybody else it's just stinky doo-doo here. But Bijan didn't do fantastic here, but they got slammed by the Detroit Lions there. So I think it gets harder when Detroit's up so much to continually running the ball, and they're a team that can only run the ball and can't really pass it. And he just needs Jacksonville to figure out what the heck's going on here. He has the Ridley Lawrence connection, and outside of week one really hasn't equated to much.
No, not at all. But I think Watson is back this week.
And hopefully the Jets find some quarterback, because Garrett Wilson's too damn good to have Zach Wilson throwing him the ball.
Yeah. Well, I think that they're hearing the noise, and I think they know that the Jets can't win if they don't let him throw it. So there might be turnovers this coming week with some interceptions, but I think he'll start throwing the ball this week.
Yeah, and you'd rather see, but like you just watch him. He has the longest. He holds the ball for 6 seconds. Like, you got to just make a decision, man, and live with it. Like,
yeah,
he really goes.
He's the guy. He's the guy who's lost all confidence. What Jet fans should be doing is what they did in Philly. Trey Turner is having a dreadful season. They applauded him one game, and then he's been good since. Like, they literally just applauded the guy, and he started playing better. I don't blame Jets fans for not having patience, because they haven't been to a Super Bowl since Joe Namath played football.
Yeah, and did you see Joe Namath give his speech about the Jets? He wants everybody gone.
Yeah, I mean, if this turns into another 3-13 season, something like that, you got to clean house top to bottom. You got to let them all go. Way too much talent on this roster for this team to be this bad.
He was scorching earth on the Michael K show. He was screaming, saying how bad they were. So that's how you know.
Yeah,
that's how you know. And last but not least, we got Ravagers playing, taking up Sean Inheritance. Got a nice performance from Herbert here. Olave's been a good keeper. Lockett didn't perform how he did, and oh my God, I didn't even see Derrick Henry's stat line. 20 rushing yards total. Woof.
Yeah, he might be slowing down, because he only got 11 attempts, but still,
they were getting stomped by Cleveland.
Yeah.
They got the second best running defense right now, it looks like. So makes it hard.
Sloan also got burned by Jacksonville defense pretty bad. A lot of people picked Jacksonville to beat Houston in Night's survival pool too, and I don't think anybody expected Jacksonville to play that bad against Houston. I think Houston might be better than what people think.
Yeah, they definitely the kid CJ Stroud and Uncle Chris's new backup quarterback. He's been
Yeah, I had to pick him up after last week's performance.
yeah, he's been solid. This is 2 weeks in a row. Sloan's just whiffed on defenses. He tried to play the Giants last week, and they were like -2 points, and then he played Jacksonville this week, and that's -4 points. So that makes it hard to perform. Guys he's banking on like Najigba and Charbonnet haven't had the production he needs yet. He probably needs this guy Deontay back because he's a pretty solid player. I mean, Mike's team's Saquon who because Zach Moss has been great. Filling in for Jonathan Taylor. There's reports that he has no interest in playing for the Colts this year. And the Colts have no interest in offering him a new contract, so he might end up sitting out the whole year. But Debo, fantastic. Lamar had a big game. Mike's team's looking good. He's having
the bench.
He's having a nice bout. Yeah, I know. We're getting there.
Yeah, he's always up in that 120, 130 mark every week.
Yeah, he's having a good start to the season. I mean, Devin Achane. Guy just had a career game. I mean, it's hard to start a guy projected with 4.93 points, expecting him to put up 57. But that's nice to know that it's in his tank. A good late round pick for Mike, and maybe he ends up taking over for Mostert as the season goes on and becomes an easier play for the Ravagers. So it was an eventful week 3. Some close games here, some pretty big numbers. And we should go ahead and look at week 4 matchups here. Uncle Chris is longtime listener of the podcast. You know what we like to do here. We like to pick out a blowout of the week here. So let's throw it over to you. Who do you think is going to have the biggest blowout of this week?
I really think it's the City Dogs. I think they're going to come into their own and beat the Narc.
You think they're going to take down the Narc?
I like the City Dogs this week.
Both of those teams have been scoring well. I mean, they both have some depth. I think Billy's
he's got Hurts, he's got Brown.
Billy's
Madison, I think, is going to be a good player. I think that if things calm down there, he might get something. He's got Kelsey. I just like his teams this week. The only guy I wouldn't start is that wide receiver there. I'd get him out of there, but otherwise.
Who, Kelsey?
No, the wide receiver, McLaurin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
McLaurin.
Yeah, McLaurin.
I mean, that quarterback there is as bad as the one that Jets got. I mean, he just, I don't know who he's got on his bench, but.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, Jaylen Warren, I mean, when I watch Pittsburgh, because they've been prime time the last 2 weeks, he looks so much better than Najee Harris. Like, I don't know how you keep rolling Najee out there. Sorry, Kev. I know that you're that guy looks slower than molasses. It's a good pick there.
I like the City Dogs this week. They put up a lot of points last week.
And you know what? Look at the defensive matchup in this game. They have teams playing against each other, and I think Billy has a big slant there. And having a Kansas City defense going up against the Jets is much more favorable than having the Jets defense going up against the Kansas City offense. So, I mean, defense can completely win you the game. I think that could be a deciding factor. Also, one thing about Billy's team, he's got the new tight end Sam Laporta, and this guy, I think you should play him.
You could flex him over McLaurin there. That's a nice trade piece, especially if he keeps performing. This is a nice trade piece because tight end is a wasteland of desperation. But he's been performing. Kev, blowout of the week. Who do you think it's going to be?
Let's take a look here. I'm going to go front runner, taking out Night Night. I think Night Night's had a good run, but I think that Uncle Bob's due for a bounce back game. And you know what? I like Dallas against New England. I like Prescott having a bounce back game. I don't think that New England is good at all. I think that Belichick is just good at manipulating the Jets quarterbacks for some reason. And I think that they're going to have a big game led by Dak Prescott.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I mean, Joe losing a pretty key piece of his team and Mike Williams there. You know, he's had a really good start to the season. You know, Ken Walker has kind of been, you know, he's been one of the top running backs. Or he drafted him what, third or fourth round, so he's been a really nice piece for night. But I could see it, especially if my dad gets the lineup configuration right. I think this could be a big week for front runner. As for me here, you know, I don't want to do this to Craig, but the Ravagers, you know, Blues making a comeback here. You know, after taking a season off, his team's playing really good, really consistent ball. This will probably come down to, is Waddle going to play, and you know, is he going to get anything out of Nico Collins, Damian Pierce? Are these guys going to be able to perform to the way that he needs them to perform? But I'm going to go with the Ravagers here. I think it might be a tough season for Craigo after losing his first round pick.
Two weeks in a row picking against Craig. It seems personal at this point, Tim. Is it personal?
It's not personal, Craig. I love you. It's just you know, the wide receivers are rough, and I think
Well, Waddle is supposed to play. Being down here in Florida, that was the top news on the sports story tonight. They're going to have him up there, so he should be playing tonight. This week.
Waddle's going to play. You know, I'm pivoting out here. I'm going Daily News blowout against the Bolshevik Billies. I don't think Kev's
wow.
I'm pivoting. I'm pivoting. I take it back. I think.
What's that based on?
Your running backs can't put up more than 10 points combined in a week.
You're right.
And the Buffalo defense is playing Miami this week.
Listen, it's a good pick. I think, like I said, I said in the beginning, I think week after week 1 or 2, I said Uncle Chris's team is a force to be reckoned with. Tyreek Hill and Goff are no joke as a 1-2, and Tony Pollard has some depth. And if you know, Breece Hall can get it together, I think the team is cooking. So it'll be a good game. Good luck, Uncle Chris.
I think it's going to be very close.
All right, those are our blowouts of the week. I got Daily News. Kev's got front runner, and Uncle Chris has got City Dogs. I like it. I like it. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Appreciate you all listening every week. Makes it a lot of fun each week for the season going forward, and we'll see you again next week.
All right, guys, it was great.
So long.
All right, Tim.